highest possible note because we're representing protesters at over 2,000 sites around the world. So it's like strike on high note. Like
they're scabs.
No, it's just like no swearing in front of the camera.
The point is that this is an opportunity once it's on TV to get other people who are on the fence to sway our way. And if you look too radical, they won't.
That's right. Or it's just even just be your best self. Our best selves. Our best selves.
I just heard one guy there at Waste Management come up and told me, he's like, my boss came to me and told me on the phone we were to leave. He left. He was part of Occupy. He wouldn't touch anything. And now he left with 3 of his buddies, 3 other workers. And these other workers are staying around. Now that bugs me because, like he said, these guys, we help out when they're on strike. We help, we show their support. And now where are they when we leave their
taking away the people's property.
Something that needs to be...
They own the tent.
Same with the police. The police go on strike. They need more. We're there. We help them. And then where are they when we need their help?
Actually, I think a lot of them did stay. Right? I think it wasn't unanimous.
Right.
Yeah. So why can't we just pay rent to stay here? Wouldn't that make the Queen happy and all? I mean, isn't that what this is about, paying rent?
I think this is St. James Church. I think the Reverend from there.
Why don't we pay them rent?
Inside, out here.
She's out here.
What it's really about is the 1% are trying to quash the movement. And what they don't realize is that every attempt to quash the movement just makes it bigger. And right now, we're getting a whole lot of free publicity on the news about the movement. So we can thank Rob for helping us make the movement bigger.
So now, what? Now we can't go over onto that side.
And by 1%, is that metaphorically speaking?
Yeah, it's metaphorically speaking. Well, it's the top 1% wage earners is what that refers to as compared to the 99% lower paid.
So the private banks as opposed to the bank that represents the people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of money and wealth to go around.
There's plenty of money for everyone to be wealthy, and yet it's all at the top and they're just sitting on it.
And there's no excuse for poverty.
There's no reason for hunger, and there's no reason for malnutrition in developing countries. There's no reason for inequality of outcomes.
So why don't the people just implement the change they want instead of relying on the one? If there's 99 people, isn't that...
That's what we're doing.
That's what this is, and that's what mobilizing for an election is, and that's what building public institutions is, and that's what educating your kids about social issues is, that's what educating your neighbors about social issues is. That's what educating yourself is.
Yeah, and being vocal of every time the opportunity comes up and you meet someone who doesn't understand, you educate them.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, there's no free land in Canada. There's nowhere to go. If you don't pay your rent, you're screwed.
That's true.
That's the bottom line. Even if you buy property, you still have to pay.
That's true. And yet, isn't a home a basic human right?
That's what I believe.
In some countries it is.
It's not just what you believe.
Well, on Earth,
it's Canadian.
It should be like that on Earth.
It's also law in the United Nations. That's 2 levels of law.
So
who's that we have
So who's ultimately responsible for the policy that governs the land?
I'm sorry?
Who's ultimately responsible for the policy that's governing the land and the people?
Ultimately the people are, but the government have lost that focus.
But who does the government answer to?
The voters.
Supposedly. The way the system is supposed to work. The way the system is supposed to work is government by the people for the people.
But who owns the land?
That is the basic principle.
If this is not free land, who owns it?
It is owned by the government, which is the people.
Well, and if we want to have,
how do you know the people own the land if they can't be here right now?
Well, exactly, and that's the point, because we should be allowed to be here.
We need to pass.
Well, then obviously you don't know who owns the land.
Well, no,
we need to elect.
Yeah, you didn't let me finish explaining. You didn't let me finish explaining. You cut me off. The way the system is supposed to operate is government by the people for the people. That is the basic principle behind every great democracy.
Yeah, but
Wait, I'm not finished. I'm not finished.
Right.
Okay, but the problem is that the government has stopped paying attention to the people and is now paying attention to the corporations. So it is now government by the corporation for the corporation, which is exactly what this country was formed to not be like.
But aren't corporations people too?
No.
No, they are not.
God,
No, they're like in reality, corporations should exist for the public benefit, not just to exist as a wealth concentrating
I
engine
can't go
for
fishing with
shareholders.
McDonald's. I can go fishing.
A wealth concentrating engine for private individuals. I mean, there's a
McDonald's is
greater
gonna come
purpose
fishing
to building an institution with thousands of people working, and with rules and buildings and offices and forklifts and boxes. I mean, there's more to it than just enriching.
But why?
Individuals.
But doesn't it seem like we're voting in circles? Like we're voting for someone to run McDonald's, not a country. We're voting for a new manager. It's always the same situation.
It's always the same situation because this movement needs to work. Once this movement works, then that won't be the case anymore.
But don't you kind of see that like the government as just another manager?
We get the
It's not
government that we
supposed to be.
we get the government that we
and
deserve.
Canada is more like McDonald's, you know.
That's perhaps the
And
way
the
it's
manager
become.
answers to the owner of McDonald's,
Yeah.
and the owner of Canada is.
Yeah, that's the way it's become. That's not the way it's
monarchy.
supposed to be, and that's not the way it will
I don't
continue to
know,
be.
No.
no. I mean, we.
Why is it so hard to like exercise our rights then? Like these people are on public property.
The
Yeah.
reason that this event is happening right now is because we lacked the foresight to elect a progressive mayor. Full stop. Full stop.
I bet you if David Miller were still in, he would not be evicting us.
I don't know.
Social movements are something to support, to nurture, and to fertilize, because much of what's great about this country has been contributed to or has been a direct result of protest movements. Women's rights,
Yeah, you guys owe this.
the minimum wage, are public institutions like healthcare that define this country and that define the prosperity that's available to us to the degree that it is.
What about like basic necessities? You know, like food and shelter.
Clothing.
Those institutions didn't
And
exist until
education.
we built them.
Yeah.
Until we built them.
And we built them as a people.
But we had to go through this process each time.
It's not always protest, but it sometimes is protest, and many things like bringing an end to wars, keeping us out of wars. These have happened as a result of people coming together in public spaces, educating each other, talking about stuff, and letting their passion out.
Right.
And telling the government that we don't want what the government is offering. Because ultimately the government does answer to the people, always.
Well, they don't seem to be answering to the people right now.
They will, give it time. They have no choice.
I mean, these are pretty serious demands.
I think our civil servants think that they're civil masters now, and that's where the problem is lying right now.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, we get the government that we deserve. So just don't vote for Ford a second time. Just
Absolutely.
I didn't vote for him the first time.
I know.
But one thing to realize is that absolutely every time throughout history that a society has gone too far away from the people, it ends in revolution. Always. And that is the proof that the governments are still always about the people, and if the people don't like it, the people will change it. Right now, this is a peaceful revolution. If they try too hard to quash the peaceful revolution, I hate to say it, but it will escalate into something worse, and I hope that does not happen. I hope they listen to us now while we're being peaceful, because that's what we want. We don't want it to get worse. But if they keep pushing, and if they do not make the changes necessary, then you can guarantee that in another 20 years that this will be happening again, and it won't be so peaceful next time.
In short, things can always get worse. Never take the society you have for granted. We're always building, and democracy isn't a steady state. It's a process. It doesn't exist unless we're exercising the process. Coming together in public spaces, coming up with ideas and implementing them, building the assets, building highways, building hospitals,
What about
building
access-
universities.
what about free
That's how we
education?
create that's how we build a nation.
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be, like, instead of outsourcing jobs, why don't we just, free education, free place to live?
I agree. Free of all the things to taxing education.
Well,
It's like, do you know what
you have to go into debt to go
internal
to
rate
school.
of return of money spent on education is? It's hard to find a better investment.
It's true.
And educating, it's not just educating our children, it's educating our neighbors' children. That is our responsibility as Canadians. That's part of what makes us Canadian.
And the fact that
is a commitment, a sense of responsibility that includes that.
And the fact that it is impossible to get an education anymore without getting an average of $50,000 in debt just for your education.
Yeah.
So as soon as you're entering the workforce, you're already burdened with $50,000 in debt. That is nothing short of sickening. And most of these people will never be out of debt in their lifetime. It started a cycle that will not be erased.
So why